I'm gonna drink my coffee today. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the Sun Dragon Sideshow, the Dear Becky and Lizzie edition.
Not the most dangerous show of the week,
That was yesterday.
but hopefully the most informative show of the week. Hi, as my face dries off, I'm Rebecca. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber. In overcast and just gearing up for snow, which isn't bound in for a couple of days, Brevard, North Carolina.
I'm Liz. I'm the minion there. I saw 2 snowplows on my way in, just practicing their routes. And there was something else I saw.
I swear Conesty was like attempting to put a little bit of sand down on the road, like they were practicing. It's not gonna do any good. Yeah. So it was so peoply at the grocery store yesterday. We both went and did our own thing and saw each other once there, but it was already peoply, and there's more people wearing masks, but not enough.
Yeah.
I have to go back today because I forgot stuff. I mean, I don't have to. I was telling this, I don't have to,
but you know.
Yeah. Anyway, so I put little sheep out to,
They're so cute.
They're so cute. We have our little sheep tape measures. They are so adorable. And as we demonstrated yesterday, they're so soft. Oh, especially the gray and black ones. They're so soft. We've already had a run on some of our products. Again, I mentioned yesterday the Lantern Moon stuff that just came in case some people don't watch Wednesday. I know, because it's not their thing. That's okay. But Lantern Moon came in, it's so cute and soft. And I pre-ordered like a few months ago, and I only got a few of some of the items because I was like, I don't know, let's see. That's always what I do with new stuff. And since we already had people buying stuff, I've ordered more already. It may not get here before the sale is over because it usually takes about a week when I order enough for the free shipping, which, let's be honest, it usually takes a week because it's coming from Oregon. And I said yesterday, if you go online and we're out of something and you really want it and you'd like to get the sale price, email or call the shop. It's better to call the shop because we're probably going to have to get your credit card information to run your card, but you can pre-purchase at the sale price. And when it comes in, we'll just ship it right out to you. The more you know, right? But they're so cute. I want some for myself. I want a project bag for myself. This morning, I did this guy for morning meditation. Notice what my shimmering pearl is stored in right now.
It's all sad.
This is travel bags. I pack everything in Ziplocs for travel. It is very sad. It is like, I would love to have this in one of those little sheep bags that we just brought in. But I don't want to steal one from y'all if you don't want to buy one. So
I am waiting my week.
Oh, so you want to get all the stitch marker bags.
I want to get all the
little
stitch marker bags.
I may have ordered a few more of those so that you don't have to feel so bad about scarfing them up. I didn't order a ton. Like, I started off with 10 each of these sheet tape measures because, it's a cute tape measure. I still got more of those too. So we'll see. But yes, my shimmering pearl is coming along. Like, it's so big now. It's almost 300 stitches, which for this is big because it's only one skein of fingering weight yarn. I had to put half of it on a stitch holder, which has so much memory. It looks awful. I love our stitch holders because they're very functional. They're not good for laying out for pictures. I'm ruminating on things right now. Cash flow might prohibit me from doing what I'd like to do, but I'm ruminating.
Yay.
Buy some more of our stuff, then I'll bring more fun things. Because January is just probably for you sad. Too, a little tight on money. It's just sad. Shout out to Jeff. One of our knitters said January is the Monday of the year, and that is perfect. It so is. And we're about to get snowed in. Because we mentioned it yesterday, and not everyone watches Wednesday. We had a big discussion yesterday of what's going to happen if it snows. Liz is like, what are you, where are you
Wait,
going?
we
with
had a
this?
big discussion.
She's like, what was I supposed to remember? You remember this? Okay,
I do.
I really need to drink some more coffee because, oh my gosh.
During filming, we realized there were other things that we needed to.
Liz had the apostrophe. We know that's not the right word. That's what we call it here. That
Lightning had struck my brain.
anyone seen the movie Hook? All 5 of you out there? No, I'm kidding. There's more people have seen it than that. But it's an older movie now, you know?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not as new as it was
No.
like a long time ago. But okay, so she had the realization that I was like, yay, we're doing our Sunday sit and stitch on Sunday. And I hadn't put two and two together, and she did. She also figured out how to use the knit out box correctly. You get all the smart
I
chips
get all
this
the
week.
smart chips this week.
That the snow is coming, and for this area, it's not like, yay, it's the snow and we don't have to worry about anything. There's concerns, but the snow is coming hopefully Saturday night after we go home from the shop, and it is not going to stop
Until Sunday night.
And Weather Underground keeps flip-flopping a little, but it's giving it, most times when I look, it's giving it a good inch an hour, a good chunk of Sunday. So, and Stacy, shout out to Stacy on Instagram, is like, you should have a snowed in sit and stitch on Sunday night. And I'm like, well, technically we already have a sit and stitch scheduled. That's what the big discussion was about yesterday. We already have a sit and stitch scheduled, our monthly sit and stitch in the afternoon. I'm not going to be having a sit and stitch in the afternoon and in the evening. No, dear God, I need some sleep. I love y'all. I really do. But I can't do it nonstop. I did that the first time we did. I did like an all day thing the first time we did a virtual weekend.
Yeah, we started at like what?
11,
10 o'clock. We ate
I was
lunch
like,
on
it's knit in
camera.
public day.
It was
It was.
you had to restart Facebook because
it only does
cut
that
out
for
after
4
4
hours.
hours.
It's just like
crazy.
So we have one scheduled. Long story long, we have one scheduled. It is contingent. I mean, it would be lovely to be snowed in and on camera with y'all. It is absolutely contingent upon us still having power, because that's a big, huge freaking maybe. Will we have power during this whole thing? Because if it stays light and fluffy, if the snow stays light and fluffy, and we just have fluffy accumulation, yay, then there's a really good chance we could still have power. If at any point it turns to rain or ice or anything heavy, there's a really good chance we won't. And then I will be more focusing on keeping myself alive and not having to cut off any fingers or toes than internet, because I won't have internet.
Yeah.
So, making sure my cat doesn't get extra angry at me, because he's angry at me when there's nothing wrong. So, please join us this weekend for virtual sit and stitch on Facebook Live and Zoom from 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if we have power.
You show up and we're not there,
we don't have power. Yeah. If we have power, we will be having the event. If we're not there, this is your warning right now. This is your last warning, because this is the last day we're filming this week, that we're not there. If we discussed yesterday as well that if I lose power, and the way we'll know that is Liz won't hear from me, because she hears from me all the time. But if I might be able to get a text out through like a weird like data hole, like positive hole in my house somewhere, like a little warp zone where I can be like, oh look, then I'll let her know I don't have power. And she may post on Instagram with the hashtag Sun Dragon Art and Fiber all spelled out.
If I have power.
If she has power, because otherwise I have to give her access to my Instagram account, and I don't even remember the password to my Instagram account. So, so that's a little bit problematic. But anyway, or I can try, like, if I can get my data to work well enough halfway up my driveway, which if it's covered in snow will be interesting. I'll try to post and notify you and say, I have no power. I'm posting this through alternate means, But we're hoping all goes well and we do have power, because I would love to be snowed in a toasty building.
That would be awesome.
That would be fun. I'm also giving people a heads up, because that could be like, this snowstorm this weekend could affect our ability to open the shop next week. Like, we've been telling people, if we see snow outside, like, I might not be like, snowflake, get in your car and go run. Like, I might not be that bad. But if we see anything starting to accumulate, like if it starts to stick to the plaza or stick to the streets in any way, shape, or form, we are going home. If the snow doesn't hit until Saturday night, we have a full day of business Saturday. That's fantastic. But you were saying we might not be able, depending on how bad it is and how bad the streets are, we could still have a mess on Tuesday.
Because a lot of my weather guys I'm looking at, it's ice all around us. Like any outside of the mountains, it's going to be ice. Up here, we could get 21 plus inches of snow.
See, I haven't heard that yet, but I trust her.
Like, I follow lots of weather guys.
And the problem with that much snow here is either it doesn't get cleared well.
It just takes a long time to get to all the roads. Too.
Yes, it takes a long time to get to all the roads. And by the time they get there, it's compacted and it's really hard to get out.
Yeah.
Even with the snow plows, which they don't call that here, but another story. And then, like, most people's philosophy is, let's wait till it melts. But if it does start to melt and then the temperature drops overnight, then you have ice, and then it's
a hassle.
There's a lot of worst case scenarios.
So there's a lot of up and downs.
Yeah. So be prepared that we might not be able to get to the shop on Tuesday. If we have power,
we'll let you know.
We'll film a side-by-side show if we're stuck at home that far out. We'll still get you something. But if there's an absence, if you notice an absence from us on social media or here, which I guess is kind of social media too, it's just whatever, then you know why. And so everybody have positive vibes that we keep power, because even if we can't get anywhere, we can have power. And regardless of all of that, if I have a means to do so, which, as long as I can do it data plan wise from my phone, I may have a means to do so. What often happens when we can't get to the shop and it's not safe to go to the shop, we have an online sale. So watch social media for that too, because depending on the level of catastrophe, if it's a mild catastrophe and we can't get to the shop, we'll have an online sale. Yep. If it's a bigger catastrophe and I'm like, burning piles of bills at my house to stay warm, that's different. I might not be able to post a sale, but I don't think it'll come to that. Window. She gave me tea lights to stay warm in like one room of my house. There's only like 3 rooms in my house that remotely have the ability to be closed off and stay warm though. So it'll be interesting. We will tell you all about it. Never fear on the other side. So,
what? Us have stories about
drama? What? By the way, speaking of drama and mousecapades, get the stuff ready for what we really should be doing today. I have heard animals in the walls and the roof, but there's been no sighting of Peter Parker, and there's been nothing to warrant me getting out of bed in the middle of the night to save a mouse. Sorry to disappoint y'all, but Avi's favorite place right now is to hang out between the shower curtain and the shower liner, in hopes that he'll either hear the mouse behind the shower, or I don't know why he thinks he's gonna catch something in there, but I go in the bathroom in the morning and he darts in and goes behind the curtain, and then I'm just like, please don't pounce on me from behind the curtain, because it's right next to the toilet and I just want to do my business in the morning. Moving on. Dear Becky and Lizzie edition. What do we got today, Liz?
We have an actual physical card.
Those are so fun. We keep them all, by the way. We have a little basket that we keep them all in.
Dear Becky and Lizzie, Happy New Year. Thank you both for a great year of videos and friendship. I hope you have had a restful, happy, and rejuvenating break. I've missed y'all. You are both such prolific knitters and crocheters. I was wondering, how much time do you spend or do each of you spend crafting per day? Typically, I'm sure it varies, but a ballpark figure would be interesting. Welcome back, Curious Crafter.
That's a tough one to answer, but it's a fun one. So,
And it kind of depends on the time of year.
We're
too.
prolific, Liz. I mean, we kind of
okay.
are. We have so many projects going. Like we both lost count of how many projects we have
Yeah,
going, right?
yeah.
Are you?
I'm in the 150s, I think, for UFOs.
That's
on
better.
needles. Maybe
Used to be
160s.
more. Like I feel like we kind of stopped counting when you hit 100.
Oh yeah.
And
Like I cannot mentally make a list of everything anymore.
I want to say, I forget. Marin has been really good when I put I pile projects on my table where I do virtual sit and stitch before that happens on the Sundays, the once a month Sundays. And I'm like, how many projects can you count? And I want to say she counts somewhere between 20 and 30.
Yeah.
And that's not all my projects because some of them are here at the shop.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm in the hundreds, but I think I'm really close.
You're really close. For time per day, like I knit on camera, and
which means you're already ahead of me most days of the week, but that's okay.
Well, yeah,
It's not a competition.
No,
unless I'm winning.
It's
really not. It's really not.
It kind of is.
Yes.
It depends on the time of year, like as to whether or not we knit at the shop. Because like summer, fall, November, December, we don't have time.
Like a good half of the year.
We don't have time to even think, apart from, me doing whatever I'm doing on camera. There is no knitting.
Yeah, maybe 3 or 4 times a month I'll post, oh look, I got some knitting done at the shop. And sometimes it's we're too busy here, and sometimes for me there's too much we're trying to get up online, and I'm on my computer most of the business day, or helping customers, right? So
although this past week it has been
busy,
pretty
busy. Well, it depends.
Dead
on the
and
day.
busy.
It's been both. It's been weird.
Both. But
yeah, it's been weird
because I'm a part-time, full-time employee. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, if we're dead, I'll pull out my knitting for one of two reasons.
Yeah.
One, I want to knit, or two,
I want to knit too. Damn it. No.
If I pick up my knitting, customers miraculously
show up. Yeah. If we go over and sit in the comfy chairs and pick up knitting, that's when everyone comes, because the universe wants to see us scramble to get out of the comfy chairs.
So, but we've had some dead days that if the shop is cleaned up or we have like spent the whole day doing work, about 3:30 after OSHA,
yeah,
we might sit and get a little bit done, but it really depends on the year.
Yeah.
Or because rainy days,
it's
hit or miss.
Sometimes rainy days, it depends on the temperature. Like rainy, warm days, people are like, I have nothing to do, I'm gonna go shop for yarn. Is kind of how I felt like. It's also, but that doesn't always hold.
But we've had some rainy, cold days that people are like packed in here.
Yeah, it's just,
it's weird.
Sometimes people are like, I don't want to leave my house because it's raining. And some people say, I need something to do. It's raining. Let's go buy yarn.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking it. We need to sell yarn. It's why we're here. It's kind of
that's kind of shop knitting.
Yeah, well, okay, so for me,
crochet.
for shop knitting, it's actually really hard for me to relax and knit at the shop.
It is.
And especially anything complicated, because I'm on edge that someone's going to come in and we're not going to be ready. And, there's days and I get a little twitchy because Liz is knitting and I'm like, someone's coming up, and she's like, I know. And I'm like, oh my God, why haven't you put down your knitting yet? But that's my
lock in my stitch marker.
But that's my inside voice. Like my body language is screaming at her,
and I know.
And I'm like, okay, great. I'm an anxiety stress ball, and I just play it off well. So I don't tend to relax and knit. I tend to find other things to do at the shop, and sometimes I pick up my knitting. But it's rare. It's rare. It's funny because when we're outside, knitting because that's how we greet customers in the warmer times
Yeah.
and stuff, then I might be knitting because it's encouraging someone to come up and see what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, on the whole, if I had to quantify on average how much knitting I do at the shop, I would probably put it at less than an hour a week for me on
Yeah.
average.
And
I
I
think-
might do an hour, hour and a half a week,
Mhm.
depending on the time of year. On Saturday when it's nice, we
We
would
try
sit
to-
outside and probably knit a couple
We
hours.
actually try to make ourselves knit a little on,
Yeah.
on Saturdays and not be busy in the shop.
But if we're stuck inside, those are pretty good.
Yeah, because you get if you get some knitting done while we're filming, it's maybe a half an hour a
Yeah.
day for 3 days. You
Yeah.
know, it's not a lot at the shop because again, there is this mystique, myth, whatever, that owning a yarn shop is fun because you sit around and knit all day.
I wish I could have sweaters done. You could have sweaters done. We could have papillons aplenty.
This did not happen while
At
the shop was open. Right. So that's the I will say that I go home and knit for a couple hours probably every night. If I'm not completely exhausted, like that's my decompression time after work.
Yeah.
I go home and I make dinner and then I try to get in a couple of hours of TV, something with knitting before bed. But that's about it. I mean, that sounds like a lot, but it's really not. It like flies by. It really does.
And
So
we have Tuesday and Friday nights. We have knit nights, so that's a guaranteed
that's like
probability
enforced knitting
of 2 hours. And I say
Maybe an hour.
probability of 2 hours because you're still decompressing.
Yeah,
for
sometimes
some
I
of the
don't
first-
pick up my knitting until 8
part.
o'clock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
when we were
sometimes you're
doing
knitting,
3
sometimes
hours,
you're not.
Yeah.
you know.
it depends on the day.
Mm-hmm.
We've noticed the last couple of weeks, Tuesday or Wednesday and Thursday, and even before we left the shop, there are days we go home and we just kind of sit there and go,
And I will text each other like I should be knitting right now and I'm not.
yeah.
I'm thinking about
vegetative
knitting.
and I'm thinking about it, but
And it's just not happening.
yeah.
Yeah. And you know, you all see if you're on social media, you might see my morning meditations in the morning. That I get in a good 10 minutes maybe of knitting in filming for that tops. It's not like I'm sitting around all morning for hours knitting. Like the whole process takes me about half an hour or so between filming and chopping out a minute and then writing up the posts and things. But I might only get a couple rows done, you know. So my days off, like Sunday, if I can, I give myself a day to knit. And there'll be chunks of knitting here and there. So on a Sunday, I might knit for it. It's hard to quantify, but for a good somewhere between 5 to 10 hours if I'm doing nothing else and vegging, but I might sleep in there too. So it might be a tops 5. I don't know. But which again sounds like a lot.
It kind of depends on what projects
Yeah.
I've got going on
Mhm.
because my weekend knitting is Sunday and Monday.
Mhm.
If it's something that I'm like, ooh, I really, 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 really want to work on this. Or like Christmas knitting, I was knitting.
Deadline knitting.
Deadline knitting was really killer.
Yeah.
So, knock out a lot. But Monday you don't get a lot.
Monday, if it's not morning meditation or something in the process of knitting a tips and tricks video, Monday, I tend to not knit. My Monday is packed from oftentimes Monday is the day that I'm running into town to do errands, be it going to the bank for the shop, grocery shopping, anything I need to get done in town that it's the only day that's not a weekend to get it
Sometimes
done.
the bank, sometimes
I said that. Yeah.
oh, sometimes coming into the shop to
You listen so much.
put-
Okay. No, I know you do. Yeah, sometimes I'm here at the shop for a few hours to get odds and ends done. I didn't do it this weekend because I needed time at home. And I had meetings for shop related stuff. But then between filming for tips and tricks and editing and posting and writing my newsletter and all of that stuff, that's a full day. That means I'm not knitting.
you might get maybe an hour and a half
I might get maybe a half an hour.
Maybe a half hour.
Like I really don't. I like by the time I get my newsletter done, if I do, like it all depends on how quickly things go.
Yeah.
Right. But there's some days where I do not touch my knitting other than 10 minutes in the morning for morning meditation on a Monday. So Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays, we have the built-in sit and stitch. And then Wednesdays and Thursdays, I really do, if I'm not completely knackered, I try to get a little bit of something done that's just for me. Or honestly, half the time I'm getting stuff ready for the next morning's filming.
Yeah.
It's like, what haven't I worked on? Maybe I can get a little bit done on it so it looks like I haven't just like knit on it for morning meditation and put it aside. because I worry about too much, So I will say, so this sweater, I was thinking about that over the past 24 hours or so. I was like, okay, so this sweater, I started it Christmas afternoon, the 25th, and I finished it New Year's Day on the plane. And it wasn't like I knit every waking moment I had. Close to it, but not quite. I hung out with my family. I ate meals. We played board games. That some of the board games I kind of was knitting on the side. A lot of them I couldn't because they were complicated. Yeah. So we went places. We didn't go a lot of places because pandemic. But we went places that it was safe to walk around. And so I baked cookies with the kids. We were doing stuff. So I would say maybe half of every day I spent knitting. If I had to quantify it, maybe about 5 hours a day, and it took me 8 days to complete this sweater. And the knitting was going pretty quickly, I will say. And there was some mindless knitting I did while we watched some movies and stuff like that. We didn't watch a bunch of movies though.
Yeah.
But so 8 days, maybe 5 hours a day, maybe more, maybe less. I mean, I was not, doing a time clock on it, stamping a time card or anything. But that's about 40 hours. Because people come in all the time and say, how long did it take you to knit that? And because I have so many projects going, I'm like, I don't know. But I think ballpark figure 40 to 50 hours for a sweater. Now that does not mean, that'd be like a work week, right? But that's a work week if your hands didn't get tired after an 8 or 9 hour day.
And there is
of
nothing
continuous
else,
knitting.
like nothing else that you had to do, like,
That's why I say a sweater is more likely to take close to like a month, because that doesn't mean a month of nonstop knitting. That means a month of finding time to knit.
Yeah.
It can go faster or slower, but I would say this probably took me between 40 and 50 hours to make. So that was a fun experiment though, I will say, right? So how many hours a week on average do we knit? I would give myself a couple hours a day. On average. Some days, some weeks I can knit more, and some weeks I knit a lot less. So that's what, 14 hours a week, and I always stress that everybody knits at their own pace. So my 14 hours and your 14 hours may not produce the same amount of stuff. And someone else's 14 hours may not produce the same amount of stuff. And it shouldn't be a competition, even though I joke about it.
Well, and so like I've noticed over the last 4 years, I've gotten faster. Like when I started knitting and started to make hats, it took me like 3 days to make a chunky hat.
Right.
And now I'm like, I can do a chunky hat in like
a day. Maybe.
If I, Saturday, I think I knocked out 2 chunky hats.
Right.
So, but I've gotten faster because I've dedicated
you're not
time to it.
You're not going to learn to knit and make a chunky hat in a day necessarily. You might be the kind of like, savant is not the right word, but you might be the kind of person who takes to knitting and just and you are like that. And one is not better than the other. Like I find just it hopefully should be something you enjoy.
And it depends on how monogamous you are to a project as to how long it takes. Because
right,
you and I have so many projects going that, I mean, some of your one skein shawl projects have taken months and months and months.
Oh yeah, like the one I just showed off earlier. That
Because-
should be done. But yeah.
Yeah, you have other things going on.
This is my stone catcher. It was on my morning meditations, and some people are like, "Oh, that's amazing!" And it's like, it's not new. It's been in timeout for so long. Last time I touched this before morning meditation a couple days ago was October. I should be like, and I sat down last night and I pounded out the rest of this lace section so that I can actually move on to a new section, because the last couple times it's been in morning meditation, months apart, I've been in the same section. So, but I would say it's like when I teach someone to knit and I say, okay, let's do, maybe in a week we could do a purl lesson. I often say, like, maybe try to devote 5 to 10 minutes a day to this. Like, if you're really excited about it and want to keep going with it, by all means, spend more time on it, but try to set aside 5-10 minutes a day just to keep it in the brain. You know, if it becomes too much of a chore or a burden, like too much deadline knitting, then it's not fun anymore. And then you might lose your knitting mojo or crochet mojo, and that's no fun. So, yeah, so that's, our mail lady's by really early, so we're gonna miss the mail today.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry, I got distracted. So I think does that pretty much cover?
I think that pretty much covers. Yeah.
We missed y'all too, but we were glad to get some rest. I need more rest. We always do. But
it's weird trying to figure out how long. And when people are like, well, how long did it take you to make that sweater? This sweater I did in a weekend because it was super bulky on size 19 needles. This sweater is going to take me forever. Yeah,
but you're already like past the color work, right?
Yeah. I'm going to lose the will to knit very soon on this. Very soon.
Yeah, but you flew through the color work, in my opinion.
Yeah, color work is actually fun.
Yeah. I find complicated stuff sometimes makes it go faster for me, because it's like, ooh, I'm having fun.
I mean, it was kind of a challenge doing 3 different colors on a row, but
okay,
it was fun.
Yeah. Returning to what you said before, when someone says, well, how long should, my pet peeve is when someone comes in and says, how long should it take me to make this? And it's like, I don't know, because there's too many factors involved. There's how long it would take me, which is not necessarily how long it would take you. And it might take you twice as long. You might be faster than me. There are people out there who are faster knitters than me. I know this for a fact. They aren't necessarily going to be the new knitters who come into the shop, but who knows? You could take to it and be like, wee, it's just, how long will this take me? It's like saying all worsted weight yarns are exactly the same thickness. It doesn't exist. It's not quantifiable. There's a range within each weight category of thin and thick of that. It's not, and when people are like, I wish they were all the same thickness, it's like, there's no way to control that.
It would be nice to say that it takes this long for this project, but once again, so many variables. Oh, wait. And then life is happening around you. You can't control what's going to happen.
If you work a 9-to-5 job, you have only so much time to knit. If you're retired, even if you on the face of it have more time to knit, you may not, because there's a lot of other things happening in your life. There's a lot of things to take care of at home. There's a lot of groups you're part of. There's weekends where I have to decide, am I going to knit or clean my house? And let's be honest, I knit instead of cleaning my house. It is just about 10 o'clock. We already have a customer walking up to the door. It's like, we have like a minute and a half till the shop opens, but we got to get ready. So sit and stitch tomorrow night, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, shop phone number
828-8773-550
on Zoom. Sit and stitch on Sunday. I'm sorry we cut this off fast, but I went to the bank this morning. It means we got started late. Shocker. Come on Sunday. If we're not there, it's because I have no power, and say a prayer for me that I stay warm enough in my house without power.
We'll have stories next week.
We'll have stories next week. So we'll see you next week. Hopefully by Tuesday, we'll at least have power so we can do a side-by-side show if we are still snowed in. We didn't lock the door. So we will talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.